World Cup's giving us something new every day. It's more or less to savor on most occasions. We saw 5-wicket hauls, hundreds in losing causes, nearly big scores chased down, big upsets. Today, unfortunately, it served us the first washout of the tournament. It's a dreadful shame because Pakistan and Sri Lanka were looking to get back after inspiring wins against England and Afghanistan respectively. It would have made for quite the contest, the All-Asian affair that would have possibly been 2 points that either team would have fancied given the set of fixtures they have ahead of them. Unfortunately, the rain didn't quite resist at Bristol, which means that the match has officially now been called off. We'll still hear from the captains in just a bit, and we'll also have a quick chat on how this affects either team's chances or whether it's a big no result, whether the no result is a big result at all. On ESPN Cricket for Matchday UK 2019, Ajit Agarkar is still here. Darren Ganga is still here. We've tried our best to kill time, and we thought we'd see a French Open semi-final that'll help us kill more time, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, killed our spirits actually.
Killed our spirits, yeah. Everyone's a Federer fan. But that's a conversation for another day. We also have Misbah Ulaq and Tilakratne Dilshan, who we'll hear from in just a bit. Officially washed out, no result. Let's get a quick reaction just on the impact on both teams per se, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Darren?
I think both teams will be disappointed with the result. More so Pakistan because they played their last game against England at that said venue, had a really good win. They would have been looking at securing 2 points. On the other hand, Sri Lanka, yes, you would say that they would have taken heart from their last victory against Afghanistan. But who knows? I mean, 1 point going forward in a game where you didn't have a chance to compete against the opposition, you will take that because it just adds to your points tally.
Yep.
And you never know how that can change equation when things get tighter later in the league stage.
If someone has to sneak in on 5 wins and a no result gets in. But would this hurt Pakistan just a bit more? Would they have fancied this encounter more than Sri Lanka?
I mean, look, Sri Lanka would say the same thing, but I think Pakistan was the better team.
Yeah.
Or at least going into the match, they were the better team on paper, slightly more balanced, bit more strength all round. So you'd think in their camp, they would think that they would have won the match. Sri Lanka coming off a win would have fancied their chance, especially in a curtailed game. You don't know, 1 or 2 guys come off and you can win the game. So both teams, I think, equally disappointed because we spoke at the top of the show. There's some strong teams coming for both those guys going forward. So it might end up being much harder to win those games. And both would have fancied their chances winning this one.
Yeah, it's Australia next for Pakistan. Sri Lanka will wait for Bangladesh, which at Bristol, and the forecast for that day isn't great either. It's a little better than today. But what it does do on the points table, it's still very early days in the World Cup 2019. But it's Sri Lanka and Pakistan where they would want to be come the end of the league phase in the top 4. They are there just by courtesy of that extra point after today's no result. But let's just hear from both Misbah Ulaq and Tilakratne Dilshan. Misbah, let me come to you first. Would you be the more disappointed team? Would you say Pakistan would be the more disappointed team as a result of this game, given they would have fancied their chances against Sri Lanka?
I think so. I mean, looking at the next 4 games, you see, I mean, Pakistan has a very good record against Sri Lanka. Bit inexperienced team currently the way they are playing, and Pakistan is playing better cricket at the moment. And before going into this mega event, they played against England. Very good games. They lost the series, but still, I think overall they were competitive. And then beating England in the previous game, Pakistan would have definitely fancied their chances against Sri Lanka. And by not playing against Sri Lanka and losing a point, I mean, that anything could happen. Sri Lanka, you just can't write them off. I think they will be also disappointed that they haven't got a game against Pakistan, because obviously they need to play more and more games. I mean, you never know what's gonna happen, and obviously whenever the Asian teams play against each other, no matter how good one team is playing, at the end I mean, it's more competitive and any team can win. But overall, definitely, Pakistan team will be disappointed that they haven't got a game today.
Yeah, they've now got a stern set of fixtures, as Darren Ganga has already pointed out. Next up is Australia, followed by India, then South Africa and New Zealand. So those are the next 4 fixtures for Pakistan. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, they've got a tricky one against Bangladesh at this ground on Tuesday. And then they've got a set of serious fixtures: Australia, England, South Africa, the West Indies and India. Those are the last set of fixtures for Sri Lanka. So they too would have fancied their chances. Let's go to Tilakratne Dilshan too and get a quick comment and how this would affect Sri Lanka's campaign. I mentioned the teams coming up. They have a fixture against Bangladesh, who are in good spirits in this tournament, Dilshan, and they're going to play at Bristol. Just give me your thoughts. What does this washout or no result mean for Sri Lanka's chances?
I think definitely disappointed both teams. Thing is, this is one of the match both teams want to play and put 2 points to their points table. This is definitely Sri Lanka point of view. I think Sri Lanka team more disappointed. Thing is, they want to play more matches and come to their form before go to the big matches later this tournament. Definitely, both teams disappointed. The thing is, this point might be we can see later on this tournament. This point might be value or disadvantage for the team get 1 point. Thing is, South Africa still didn't get any single point in the table. I think definitely Sri Lankan should play more games and get back to their form. From my point of view, definitely disappointed. No games today, no result today.
Yeah, we will be hearing again from both sets of captains in a little while from now. But what this does do, a no result in a World Cup game tends to trigger some conversation amongst the fans about the scheduling, the venue, and more importantly, the reserve day or the lack of one. Now, this World Cup does have a reserve day for the semi-finals and the final. It does not have one now. I think that's a fair conversation Sri Lankan fans, Pakistani fans would have. Can the World Cup or could the World Cup or should the World Cup have allowed for reserve days even for league phases?
I don't agree that you should go to that extent, because I think it will complicate scheduling, and that's a logistical nightmare. If you have reserve days, it would be very hard for people to follow the actual tournament. So I think the provision for the reserve days in the semi-final and final, that's more suitable. I think the laws of the game and the regulations provide for situations where there are interruptions. The Duckworth-Lewis Stern method caters for that abbreviated game when rain or weather or some circumstance might interrupt a full 50 overs. So I don't see it as a big issue. I mean, Sri Lanka, if you look at the forecast for their next game, it's rain. So if you pick up 2 points from 2 matches, that might not be a bad result. And with all due respect to Sri Lanka. So again, that's the uniqueness about this tournament. And that is why sport is so interesting, and this World Cup.
You know, I think it's also the format. It's very difficult. Everyone's playing 9 games. It's very difficult to have reserve day for all those games. I don't think it'll work out. I think when there was, in '99 I played the World Cup and the game could get carried forward if the game started the previous day. We started from where we'd left off the previous day, but it's with 9 games that every team's playing. I think there'll be enough chance to make up if you're good enough as a team. Yeah, maybe there's a chance that some team might be unfortunate with the weather, but that's a chance every team has. And at the moment, it's you don't know whether this point is going to be valuable or not.
Okay, we will continue this chat and get Misbah and Dilshan's thoughts too on whether the scheduling or the format should allow for a reserve day, given it's their teams that have been affected. And don't forget, Sri Lanka's next game has a poor forecast. The India-Pakistan game on the 16th at Manchester has a pretty poor forecast. So it could be Pakistan and Sri Lanka that are affected more than other teams with rain in this tournament. Anyway, let's hear from the 2 captains now. This is where we say goodbye to our viewers on ESPN Cricket Info. We'll be back again tomorrow ahead of the double header, just half an hour before the start of play for the England-Bangladesh game. For viewers in the Caribbean, it's time to go to thoughts from the captains. Ramiz Raja speaking to both Dimut Karunaratne, but first Sarfraz Ahmed.